This is the A to Z podcast. Expert insights on leadership, business, real estate, investing, and growth.
When I was studying the great ones from different cultures and generations, one of their common attributes was they laid a values driven lifestyle. Today, we're going to talk about what are values. What do we benefit when we have a value driven lifestyle? What do we lose? Or what are the costs and the consequences of not having values driven lifestyle? And finally, if you have a team and or organization, we're going to talk about how to discover and also come up with shared values and create values alignment within your team and or within your organization. What are values? I'm sure you already know the definition. Values are what matter the most for you, and it's individual. You have your own values. Some of them could be different than mine. Somebody has their own values. Some of them could be different than me and you. We all have values. We all have what matters the most for us. These are our non-negotiables, our principles that guide our decision, choices, priorities. The question is, do we have values? You may be surprised that we all have values, but the only difference could be some of us, we're clear about them, we're conscious about them. Some of us, they are in the background. But nobody lacks values. Everybody has. The difference is whether they are upfront, whether somebody's conscious about them, whether they consciously promote these values, protect these values or not. Just to be on the same page, I want to give you examples, my own example, and I want to hear yours. When it comes to values, I have some values. The top three values that I have: first, the truth, which means I don't know everything. Based on what I know, I'm on a mountain right now. And if there comes a truth, because of my inquisitiveness, because of my research, because of my interaction with someone, if I come to contact with a truth, then I may abandon this mountain and go to another one, which means I'm not bound by doctrines, dogmas, and outdated and obsolete beliefs that I have inherited. I am committed in discovering the truth. And once I discover, I adapt to it, I commit myself to the truth. That's where my loyalty is. The second value that I have is excellence, which means I'm not perfect. I may not do everything right. Sometimes I mess up. But my principle is in everything I do, I give it all. I want to bring out my A game. I want to do things excellently as much as possible. The third value that I have is sense of urgency, which means I try my best to live today because I don't have any guarantee tomorrow. I like a quotation by Mahatma Gandhi, who said that I live as if I die tomorrow, but I learn as if I live forever. This is a very delicate intersection. Yes, you are learning, planning, strategizing as if you live forever, but you learn, you strategize, you plan as if you live forever, but you live on a daily basis as if you may die tomorrow, which means you have only today. What does that mean? You try everything possible to maximize today. You don't have any guarantee for tomorrow. Some people, when I become very tight about my time, they think I changed when I came to the United States. That's not true. When I was still in Ethiopia 20 something years back, I discovered that time is the most important asset that we have, which you cannot buy, you cannot borrow, you cannot store, you cannot reclaim. Once time is gone, it's gone forever. That's why Peter Drucker, he said that time is the most scarcest resource in the world. If time is not managed, nothing else is managed. He's true. He's right, because think about it. You manage people, resources, finance around time. And therefore, if you're not managing time, nothing else is managed. Therefore, I live with a sense of urgency. Of course, that doesn't mean that am not resting, I'm not sleeping, I'm not exercising, I'm not hanging out with people, but I make sure I'm always mindful that I have to dedicate my time where my most important projects and initiatives are. That's why when opportunity sometimes comes, I say no to some of them because I have limited time, and I can only give that time to the top priorities based on my values. That said, I want to ask you, what are your values? I know I cannot hear you the way this is structured, or maybe you can hear it after we're done with the live session. You can go to the chat section, the comment area. You can share your values, at least your top 3 values. Let's talk about the benefits of having values. The first benefit is it helps you to advance, promote your mission, your purpose in life. If you are an organization or a team, your mission helps you advance. It's like a guardrail. When you come up with your values, what you're doing is, what are some of the values that could help me achieve this mission, this purpose? And those values gonna advance, promote, and push forward your mission. You're not distracted. You are aligned with your mission. The second benefit is it protects your vision, which means when you have a vision, there are so many things that could derail it, abort it, kill it. And therefore, you come up with some values to protect it. I remember reading a autobiography of Bill Graham. You may know him. He was a very popular evangelist. When he was coming up, there were a lot of scandals. And these scandals were committed by pastors, evangelists. These were very popular evangelists and pastors. He was not known back then that much. He was known in certain circles. And when Hillary Clinton, when she was in Arkansas, her husband, Bill Clinton, was the the governor of Arkansas. And she wanted to talk to him privately. But his value, his principle is this: if I have to talk to a woman, I have to talk to her together with her husband. If that's not possible, somebody, a third party, should be with me when I meet the lady, because many of these evangelists and pastors were caught with extramarital activities. And one of the ways he wanted to protect himself was the value he had. I don't meet a woman privately, without somebody in presence. Not only that, whenever he traveled, he asked the hotel, for example, remove the TV, remove the cassettes, remove the CDs, and so on, because somebody could claim that he was watching porn, even if he wasn't. If there was a cassette or a CD-ROM about porn, he was trying to protect the vision because he don't want to experience scandal. That's why he was going the extra mile based on his values, based on his principles. Now, you don't need to be an evangelist, or you don't need to be a pastor or religious. You don't need to have some guardrails to meet somebody privately, because you have a different cause, a different vision. But you need to figure out, how do you protect your vision? By coming up with some values, principles, non-negotiables. The third benefit is you could be able to make right, ethical decisions. Roy Disney, the brother of Walt Disney, once he said that when values are clear, making decisions become easier. When values are known, making decisions become easier. What does that mean? When you know your values, if you are presented with a decision, and if you don't have time or enough data, can you make that decision quickly? Yes, if you know your values very well. These successful CEOs that you see, they are paid millions of dollars, and headhunters, they chase them. Why do you think? One of the reasons is because these CEOs, they could make decisions like that in the middle of the night without having enough time, resources, and counsel. And one of the parameters that they use is values. Since they understand the values of the organization they are leading, they make decisions like that because they had to. And when they go back and report to shareholders or board of directors, they explain why they made that decision, because they had to do it. It was in the middle of the night. They didn't have time to counsel, they didn't have time to gather data. Some of the board members or shareholders, they could say, I didn't like the decision, but given these are our values, you made the right decision. I would have made that the same decision if I were in your situation. One of the most important attributes that you should have as a leader is you should be clear about the values of your organization and your team. And whenever you are forced to make decisions, especially those urgent decisions, you want to make quick and ethical decisions. And to do that, you need to be clear about your values. Now, let's talk about how do we, before that, actually, before we talk about how we discover and create shared values, I want to talk about what are the prices that we may pay. This is very important. One of the reasons I'm serious about values, and one of the reasons the leaders I'm studying, why they are serious about leading a values-driven lifestyle, is because they don't want to pay unnecessary prices, consequences that may derail their success, that may completely destroy their legacy and brand. One of the consequences of leading a valueless life or team or organization is you won't be trustworthy. Consciously or unconsciously, people, when they interact with you, they want to know whether you are a principled person. Before they give you money, before they trust you for their life, they want to know whether you are dependable or not, whether you have principle, values, non-negotiables. They may not like your style and who you are and the way you communicate, the way there are people that are a pen in the rear for me, but I work with them. Why? And I partner with them. Why? Because they're good at what they do, plus they're principled. I can predict them. They're credible, they're trustworthy. Yeah, I may not like, sometimes they may irritate me. Sometimes I don't like what they do, their style, they're different than mine. Of course, there are people who don't like my style, don't like the way I speak, or they may not like my personality or who I am, but they work with me, they partner with me. Part of the reason could be I can predict AZ. I know he doesn't harm me. I know he won't tell me lies. I know he don't intentionally hide information from me. I had a chat last week with one of my old friends. We disconnected for many years. I reached out to her recently and I told her that I have a financial team. I want you to be part of that team because I know she's a dedicated, hardworking, and ethical person. I invited her. She didn't even think twice. She said, count me in. And she is part of that team. And last week we were talking about, and she felt that I was doubting her, and she stopped me in the conversation and she said this. I didn't expect this. Easy. If you establish a religion today, I will join without asking any question. I trust you. She's from a different religion, by the way. But she said that. I'm not bragging here about that. Genuinely, I know in my heart, I will never go out to hurt someone, to cheat someone, to mislead someone. Never. Of course, I may mistake. I may say something that may hurt someone. I may not know it based on my upbringing, my culture, the way I look the world. I may say something that may offend someone, or I may do something based on my priorities and my principles, and then they may not align with someone, and they may be offended, or they feel like I hurt them. But I won't do that intentionally. And that lady reminds me, what that lady said, remind me is that when you are trustworthy, people are willing to give you money, especially in crisis. They are willing to give you your life. You could be a captain of a ship, and the ship may be going down, but you believe that you can help save the ship. And if you promise to the people on the ship, which is sinking, that I could make it, just be here, you trust them if they are a trustworthy person, if they are principled. You give your life for their words. One thing you should know that if somebody is not respecting the words, if they don't keep their promises, what else is there that you could trust about that person? If they're not living up to their words and promises, what is there to trust? They're not even trustworthy. They're trustworthy for their own words. What's bigger here more than their words and their promises? What I'm saying is that people trust you when you are principled, even if they don't like your style, even if they may be irritated here and there, but they know that you are trustworthy. They work with you, they partner with you. The second thing that we may pay price if we don't have values is we are unable to prioritize, unable to be effective because we don't have the North Star. We don't have the lighthouse. These values are guardrails, principles, and values, non negotiables. If they're not there, you're not clear about your values. And also, you're going to be struggling to know when you come close to the red line. You don't even know when you are on the delicate line. You may cross it without even knowing it, and it's too late. The third price we may pay is we are unable to have a team or organization that functions like a well-oiled machine. Sometimes founders, they bring people from everywhere, people who don't share common values, and the team doesn't work. Yes, a great team, passionate team, qualified team, but if they don't share values, boom, that team doesn't go anywhere because team has a stage to pass through. One of the stages is the storming stage. The rubber hits the road, and you're going to have some conflict of interest. You may disagree on the methods, the priorities. If there are no shared values, you won't survive that. That's why a lot of leaders quit when they are in the storming stage of a team. But if you have shared values, you could have survived. Now let's talk about how do you discover your values. I share my own values. Do you know your values? Whenever I facilitate workshops or when I coach someone, I ask them this question: do you know your values? Could you please write 10 of your values? Some people write it quickly. Boom, 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 boom. Here you go. What? Why do you think they did that? Because they already know their values. Why? Because they have already passed through the process of discovering their values. In the class, sometimes somebody struggles. They write one and two and three. I give them like 10 minutes to write one at a 1 minute, one value, 1 minute. They struggle. They need more time. Why? Not because they don't have values, but they haven't taken that time to sit down and write down their values. You could do it by yourself. You can sit down and ask critical questions. Who am I? Where am I going? What's my vision? What matters the most for me? What are my non-negotiables? I'm sure you could be able to discover them. The second step is to create shared values, especially when you have a team or organization. It doesn't matter that you're clear about your values. You are a founder. Unless the people around you share your values, it doesn't matter. And sometimes some founders, they will say, you know what, the values of me personally should be the values of the organization, the team. Some would say, okay, here are my values. Bring your values. Let's come up with shared values. Others will say, you know what, let's start from scratch. Like the exercise I told you, rather than just doing that for one person and asking them their values, we could say, okay, we are a team, we are an organization. What are our 10 values? And then you gather all that, you prioritize. Finally, you come up with those top 3 or 5 values. The important thing about prioritizing, I told you I have a lot of values, but the 3 of the top values are important for me when I make a decision. Sometimes what happens is that you may be faced with two equally important scenarios. Which one do you choose? I mean, if you have to choose between wrong and right, if you are a right person, an ethical person, you always choose what's right. You don't choose what's wrong. But in most cases, we're faced with two rights. Which one do you choose? If you have values, it's easy to choose the one. Both of them are right, but one of them is more relevant to you. And therefore, you can sit down together and prioritize your values. The third step that you should take is values alignment. You can have shared values. I have seen a lot of organizations and teams, they have shared values on their website, on their documents, everywhere. There are banners and notice boards. Here are our values. But everybody may not be aligned with those values. I remember I did a consulting work for a company, and that company, the CEO was forced to do the value alignment project because of the board of directors. And he called me, AZ, I don't understand what they are saying. I don't see any misalignment here, but I am asked to do values alignment, and I want you to do that. He didn't believe that there was values misalignment. I had a questionnaire. I went out. I asked first the top leaders and middle leaders and the staff. And guess what? There was values alignment. The top leaders, they speak each other. They're clear about the values. There is alignment between them. The big difference is between them and the middle leaders, between them and the staff at the bottom. Huge misalignment. Sometimes they say the same thing, this is our value, but the way they define that value is different. The executives say, yeah, we value, for example, service, and they have their own definition. They may say, we value integrity, they have their own definition. And down the road, others may say, yeah, integrity is our value. Yeah, service is our value. But when they are asked to describe it, totally different, because integrity could be different to different people. In conclusion, we need to lead a values-driven lifestyle or business or organization or team. There are some benefits in leading that kind of lifestyle, business, and team and organizations. And I shared with you what are values. I gave you an example of my own values. And also I shared with you some of the benefits you're going to get when you have that kind of lifestyle and the cost you may pay if you don't have values, and also how to come up with a shared values, and also to value align your team and your organization to work like a well-oiled machine. Until I see you with another program, if you need anything, reach out, email me. And if you need some help, I'm here to help you. Until I see you again, have a wonderful time. Bye bye.